Welcome to Fort Worth for the 2025 NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championship. A powerful message brought to life by Florence Pugh, star of Marvel Studios' new movie Thunderbolts, only in theaters starting May 2nd. Welcome to Dickies Arena. The postseason here started with 36 teams. Now it's down to 4. Only one will be the national champion. Oklahoma, Missouri, Utah, UCLA. Notably not in that bracket, the defending champs, the LSU Tigers, and also the 3 seed, the Florida Gators. Many considered them favorites to win as well. Hello, everyone. I am John Roethlisberger, and I am joined by a couple of Olympic medalists, Allie Raisman, Sam Peshek. You guys, 4 teams, handicap them for us.
I'm going to start with Utah. They had the highest score in the semifinals, and they also had the highest score on bars and floor.
Well, UCLA ends on balance beam. Most people think that's the most nerve-wracking event to end on, and they might be right. But facts say 4 of the last 6 championships were won by a team that ends on balance beam.
But Sam, we can't forget to talk about Oklahoma, the most dominant team in the last decade, and they are certainly in conversation of being the greatest collegiate gymnastics team of all time.
And we can't count out Missouri because, to me, their attitude and approach this postseason is absolutely a threat. They're coming in here, they want to be undeniable, and they want to show everybody that they've earned a place in this last 4
They absolutely have been undeniable, Sam, coming into this final. They have never won a national championship, but they're joined by 3 teams who know all about winning the big show. Oklahoma's won 6. All in the last decade. Utah, it's been a while for them since 1995, and of course UCLA, they are a 7-time champion. So we also have a 4th member of our team. Her name is Taylor Davis. We love Taylor, and she's going to talk about some of the stars competing in this competition.
Well, luckily I love you guys back, John, and we have been lucky enough to see an influx of Olympians joining NCAA gymnastics. This season we had 19 across the rosters. 9 of them were here competing in semifinals on Thursday, and 5 here tonight competing. A couple notables, of course, UCLA's Jordan Childs and Utah's Grace McCallum. I caught up with both of them, and they told me we've competed on the biggest stages in the sport, but nothing compares to an NCAA team title.
Well, a lot of star power in this sport, but tonight is all about the team. One of these teams is going to walk away as the national champions. One thing you know, it's going to be like the circus. It's going to be intense. Dickies Arena is hopping as we get ready for this first rotation. Here's your format for this competition. 4 teams, they all compete on respective events simultaneously. 6 athletes per event. The top 5 scores count. You can drop that low score. Also, 6 judges per event here in the championship round. They drop the high, the low, they average the 4 in the middle. Much more difficult to get a 10 here in the postseason. You can catch the stream team commentary on ESPN Plus for a unique complimentary offering surrounding the championship. This year, our stream teams will cover specific teams. Kennedy Baker, Anastasia Webb will cover Utah and UCLA. Bridget Sloan and Trinity Thomas will have Oklahoma and Missouri. 17 national championships, by the way, guys, for that stream team. They're pretty good. We're going to start off here, Missouri on the vault. This is Kennedy Griffin. Utah will start on the uneven bars, Oklahoma on balance beam, and UCLA, they're tied for the top spot on the floor exercise. That's where they start.
Kennedy starting off with a Yurchenko layout full, really clean in the air. That vault is out of a 9.95, so just the deduction for the hop on the landing.
Utah on the uneven bars. This is McKenna Smith. This is a tremendous event for Utah. They finished the semifinal round on this event, clinched their spot here. I think they're underrated on this event.
They certainly are, John, and it's because of the originality of their routines. Each of their routines are different. There's so much thought that goes into the composition of this routine.
Over on balance beam, there are the Sooners. Audrey Davis, co-national champion on balance beam last year, starting things off.
And McKenna Smith starts off with a stuck landing. Utah stuck 5 out of 6 dismounts on bars of the semifinals, hoping to do the same thing tonight.
Such a tough event. The balance beam guys, they have to start here with this immense pressure. How hard is that?
Well, she's a national champion on this event, and she's actually only fallen 1 time and has hit 250 routines in a row dating back to 2021. So my money would always be on Audrey Davis here.
That is quite a record. Caitlin Rosen will start things off for UCLA. Again, their best event. Showstoppers is what I would use to describe the UCLA Bruins on the floor exercise.
And Audrey Davis on beam, she is going to do a split ring jump. She's going to completely lose sight of the beam right here. And this skill is so difficult because even if one of her fingers is just a degree lower than the other side, it can take her off the beam.
That's why spotting the end of the beam is so important. It helps you regain that balance, feel solid, and I don't know if Oklahoma could start this meet any better.
Not possible.
Wow.
That was tremendous.
Head coach KJ Kindler says Audrey Davis, she's a sure thing.
And I've said it all season long, I feel like that leadoff spot on beam might be the most critical spot in a lineup to get the momentum going.
Caitlin's been in and out of the floor lineup, but it's been such an asset having her confidence built back up to perform as well as she has this postseason. Some may say it's really difficult to start on floor, but head coach Janelle McDonald said, I was one of those people. I didn't like it at first, but now I love it. It's been 4 meets in a row.
Freshman Kaya Tonskinen, she follows Kennedy Griffin on vault from Missouri.
Missouri really needs to get these landings. Absorbing the mat, 1 step on the landing. Landing steps can be up to 2 tenths, depending on how big that step is. This is a soup. You see her arm bending on the table. That's all things that the judges look for: height, amplitude, and of course, when you plant your feet, you don't want to move them.
Here's the thing to remember about vault. Lowest scoring event of the 4 events. Missouri likely will be trailing in 4th place after the first rotation, but don't count them out. All the other teams have to go there to that low scoring event. So it's a long meet. As we see Ashley Glynn following McKenna Smith's 9.8875.
I love Ashley's form on this event. Watch her toe point. The skill she's about to do, a stalder, requires so much back and hamstring flexibility. Oh, landed very short on that dismount. Just let go a little bit too early on that. That's going to be at least a couple of tenths of a deduction.
Addison Theta, the second gymnast, just a freshman in the 2 spot following that Davis 9.9. Good start for the Sooners.
Yeah, Addison's only a freshman, but certainly capable of building off of Audrey's 9.9 score. She has been so solid for Oklahoma. and really has taken it up a notch in the postseason. Head coach KJ Kindler was actually a little worried because of the change of demeanor, but the intensity has helped her elevate in these critical moments.
Yeah, she has absolutely been her best over the last 2 weeks. The regional round and here at the championship. Macy McGowan now, right hand of your screen for UCLA, 9.8875 for Rosen. A tremendous start for UCLA on floor.
And Addison Feda on beam. What I notice is she has not taken her eye off the beam. The intensity and the fierceness is serving her well in this routine.
And the mental choreography on balance beam is so important throughout the routine. You don't want 1 ounce of negativity. And that takes practice, to practice that mental choreography just as much as the physical aspect. Good stick on the dismount. You see it all over her face. They're cruising.
And UCLA on floor, they're ranked #1 in the country on this event, tied with Oklahoma. And it's because of their choreography. They put on a show, and they treat this like it's a stage.
And it's important for UCLA to get off to a strong start. I would expect them to be in the lead or very close to the lead after this event. This is their best event. They can't give away 10s here. They've got to be at or near the top.
Coming into this meet, they didn't know if Macy was going to feel well enough to compete. She had a back flare-up, so didn't have the training that she did at the beginning of season, but that looked pretty good to me, guys.
The patience that Macy McGowan had on that last tumbling pass was so impressive. Keep in mind, these athletes, they're tired at the end of their routine, so to be able to control it like that, well done.
Moments ago over on vault, this is Elise Tisler. She follows Tonskanen's 9.8125, still looking for their first duck landing here. Been tough to come by here at this championship.
She's doing a Yurchenko layout full and has been so clean with this landing. Not today, though. That hop back is gonna make the difference. They need to start capitalizing on those landings.
One of the best in the country, freshman Avery Neff has taken her first season by storm. Had some injuries in the middle of the season, but man, is she fun to watch.
And watch the height on this release move right here. Watch her elbow position as she catches the bar immediately into the low bar. Avery Neff has one of the most difficult dismounts being done in the entire competition. It's a double layout with a full twist. Just the step forward on that, going to be about a 10th deduction for that.
A pair of 9.9s to start things off for the Sooners. Lily Peterson up now. She is also a freshman. Had some trouble on this event in the semifinal round.
Yeah, I talked to the coaches about it, and they said she'll be fine. She really doesn't wear the weight of those mistakes, which is what makes her so strong and solid. Struggled on a skill coming up, not quite yet, but you can look in her face. And they just looked so in the zone. Here's where the mistake came. Not today. No problem on that skill.
Veteran for UCLA up next on floor, Emma Malabuyo. Take note, Ashley Glenn for Utah, 9.6875 for her score. They're not going to want to count that.
And Lily Peterson, fantastic gymnast, fantastic beam routine right there. That is so impressive to not get in your head. She knew she made a mistake a couple of days ago. Well done.
Big switch ring leap combination. Judges want to see you get all the way around on those jumps.
Hannah Horton, she can absolutely fly on the vault. They need a big one here.
She struggled and had a fall on semifinals day. Oh man, she had the stick. Just couldn't hang on to it at the very end, but man, that looks good in the air.
I just saw Hannah Horton stick one in warm-ups, and Emma Malabuyo, this is one of my favorite routines, the performance quality. She just has the it factor.
Also important to note, this is her final floor routine of her career. Always been a strong event for Emma. Really nice to see her performing so well this late in the postseason.
For a lot of these athletes, the last time they will put the leotard on and go out on the competition floor. So enjoy this moment. And speaking of those athletes that are competing for their last time, here comes Lion Mode, as I like to call her. She competes with a fierceness. She is the new all-around champion at these NCAA championships. This is Jordan Bowers. Taylor, what you got?
Well, to get in that lion mode, like you said, John, Jordan Bowers actually just walked out of the arena, spent time in the hallway. She told me yesterday, in an environment like this, she would probably do that to get in the right mindset. She said, people don't think to be aggressive on B, but for me, that disciplined attack is exactly what leads to my success.
Emily Morgan over on the right hand of your screen for Utah, an important routine for them. No scores above 9-9 for Utah so far in this rotation.
And John, in the semifinals, Utah was the only team that counted all scores above a 9-9, and it was on this event right here. And Amelie doing one of the most difficult skills, a pack full from the high bar to the low bar.
Jordan won the all-around title just a couple of days ago. Taylor, you were talking about that mode that she goes into. When I was talking to her, she goes, yeah, it's kind of like my alter ego. I know that I do my best gymnastics when I'm that intense. And honestly, guys, I can relate. That was my mode, too.
I'm with you, Sam. 9-9, 3-7-5 for Peterson right before her. So pressure in this spot for Jordan Bowers. But, man, those 3 9-9s in front, they certainly help ease the pressure maybe a little bit.
Well, semifinals, she was the athlete to go after a fall to get Oklahoma back on track. Doesn't have that kind of pressure. And look how she's able to deliver. It doesn't even matter.
This is the only event Jordan Bowers has not gotten a 10 on. It's very hard to get a 10 in this competition because you have to get a 10 from 5 of the judges.
And no 10s this year or last year at the NCAA championships. And another veteran, one of the fan favorites, not just in Westwood, but across the country, Shea Campbell. Jocelyn Moore over on vault. A couple of seniors to finish out this rotation for the Tigers. They need a couple of stuck landings.
She holds the program's lone perfect 10 on vault. So much power and amplitude, but it's those landing deductions that are really going to show up in the final score. They haven't broken a 9-9 yet on floor, but on semifinals day, Shea Campbell was the athlete to get those 9-9s going for UCLA. They're hoping to repeat that again right here. Her 4th routine in 5 weeks. Having so many different choreographed routines is difficult. Usually you only have 1 a year. That's incredible.
And what I love about this full twisting double back is Shea Campbell keeps her body laid out before tucking, does it much better than most.
Well, no other team has scored above a 9-9 in this first rotation. Oklahoma has not scored below a 9-9. They have come out on fire. Jordan Bowers, a 9-9, 3-7-5. Here's Kira Wells.
Good side aerial to get things going. She had a few wobbles. I thought they were nervous wobbles in the semifinals day, but looks to be approaching being much more aggressively.
Here's Ella Zerbis for Utah following a 9-8, 7-5 from Morgan.
And the height on this Jaeger, the toes pointed throughout. Pressure on Ella Zerbis because Utah's going to want to drop the 9.6875. Hoping for a stuck landing here. Has to do the technique correct.
Left-hand side of your screen, Kira Wells. Back handspring layout step out. Good series. They've gotten all 9-9 or better. Head coach KJ Kindler said, we work a lot on the rhythm and the choreography. That's what we think is gonna stand out, but it's also having solid routines. Just that arm circle on the dismount, which can be up to a 1/10 deduction.
Well, here's the thing. That little hop in that arm circle, by far the biggest deduction Oklahoma has had in this beam rotation. They have been absolutely sensational.
And watch the height, the way she kicks Ella Zerbis, her heels, toes pointed from every angle, just phenomenal.
That looks like fun.
Looks
make you guys want to
me.
get back up there? I mean, she has just got some serious airtime. The new NCAA champion on floor exercise is Brooklyn Moores, and she is certainly a showstopper. You said showstopper earlier. Allie, this is another one right here. Amari Celestine, left hand for Missouri in the anchor spot.
Amari's doing a 1.5, certainly capable of that stick Missouri's looking for. Close! I saw her stick it in warm-up, and that's gonna be the highest score for Missouri. It'll be interesting to see what the other teams do to respond on vault.
And Brooklyn Moore showing why she's the national champion. That first tumbling pass, the punch front was higher than the front double twist.
We haven't seen an outright perfect 10 in this NCAA championships, but 2 of the 6 judges did give Brooklyn a 10 on this routine.
Faith Torres will be the last gymnast to go here on balance beam, arguably having the best season of her collegiate career. 9.85 for Kira Wells. Let's see if they can drop that 9.85 with a higher score here from Torres.
Coaches say that Faith Torres is the most calm and chill, least anxious gymnast I've ever worked with.
And Brooklyn Moores, I think that was the best last tumbling pass I've ever seen her do. These athletes are allowed to lunge out of their pass, but Brooklyn stuck it cold.
And that will be the last time we get to see Brooklyn Moores perform floor exercise, an event so many people have loved watching her on over the years.
Faith scored a perfect 10 earlier this year on this event, and she anchors at almost every event, or at least towards the end of the lineup, and it's because she never looks nervous. And that was the best dismount I've seen her do all year.
A lot of gymnasts do that dismount, but man, she gets some serious amplitude off the balance beam. Now the anchor, Grace McCallum, she's been perfect on this event this season. Gonna need to be really good here. 9.9125 for Zerbas, that helps, but they need another big one.
And John, Grace McCallum got a 10 both days of the regionals, so that had to have given her some confidence, hoping for the handstand right at the top of the bar. Great dismount. I love the way that she floated first and then was very patient to get that landing.
That's gonna be a huge score for Utah. And when she swings up the back, you have to get horizontal on that backswing, otherwise it's gonna be a deduction. I didn't see one from Grace McCallum, especially when you squeeze your legs on the dismount.
That was interesting. I don't know if her feet moved, but the mat slid.
I saw that too. I wonder if the judges will take half a tenth for that.
So from one Olympic medalist to another Olympic medalist, Jordan Childs anchors this floor rotation. They have really ramped it up here with these last 3 athletes, all 9.925 or higher, and Jordan Childs, man, she could be better than all of them.
Jordan Childs has scored 6 perfect 10s on this event.
Childs could give UCLA the lead after 1 if she can do a score of 9.9875 or better. That's the big score.
I asked head coach Janelle McDonald the inspiration behind the white leotards, and she said, the team believes that winners wear white.
That should be a 10.
Well, they certainly are off to a fantastic start on their best event, are the Bruins.
Watch the body position, stuck it, perfection.
Judges want to see those controlled landings, Allie, and she almost could have stuck that last pass. Let's watch it one more time. When her feet hit the floor, that one step back is 0 deductions.
A judge told me to ask yourself when you're watching them take a step, did they want to take a step or did they have to? And that was an example of Jordan. She wanted to take a step. She didn't need to.
Confetti already flying. It's only the first rotation here in Dickies Arena. Waiting for the score from Jordan Tiles. Could we get our first pure 10, meaning the final score is a 10? You guys mentioned we've had some judges throw 10s, but you need 5 of the 6 to put the perfect number up in order to score it.
Well, John, we've been talking to these coaches, and everyone talks about the importance of momentum. And I think a few of these teams got that heading into that second event.
9.975 for UCLA. They tie the Sooners after 1 rotation. We promised you it would be good. So far, it is living up to expectations. NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championship returns after this message and word from our ABC station. Welcome back to Fort Worth and the championship. After rotation 1, Oklahoma, UCLA tied at the top. Some big scores. Grace McCallum, by the way, that 9.95, she really saved that bar rotation for Utah. It looked like they might have a deficit. They do have a slight deficit, but it could have been a lot worse. Don't forget the stream team on ESPN Plus. You can follow all the teams, all the events, all the routines. Kennedy Baker, Anastasia Webb. They will be covering Utah and UCLA. Bridget Sloan and Trinity Thomas will have Oklahoma and Missouri. By the way, the last time a 10 was scored at the NCAA championships, it was 2023. Miley O'Keefe for Utah on beam. And our own Trinity Thomas, you can see her down at the far end of the screen right there in the green. She scored a 10-0 on vault. She was good though, real good.
Phenomenal.
She was one of my favorites. I'm not supposed to play favorites though.
And guys, it's so much harder to get a 10 in the postseason, especially in NCAA championships, because there's 6 judges. That means you have to get 5 judges to also agree that it's a perfect 10.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get a 10. Here we go with UCLA and vault. Keep in mind, they are tied for first right now, but now they go to the tough one. Vault, the lowest scoring event of the 4 for the women. That's Emily Lee.
Yurchenko full. She's normally so good at sticking those landings. Not quite today.
A common deduction judges take on the Yurchenko full is the last 3/4 of it. Often gymnasts pike down. I didn't see much pike down though from Emily.
Just those steps, which is what we've seen a lot of deductions on this event in particular throughout the postseason.
Yeah, I looked at the vault scores for these teams, and it seems like they're 2 or 3 tenths lower than the regular season for most of these teams. And UCLA, their high score this year is a 49.35. So, you know, you get close to that 49, and those are low scores for these top teams. So UCLA are going to start to stick those landings. Emily Morgan for Utah on beam, left half of your screen. Kira Burns for Missouri on the right half. A good event for Missouri, the uneven bars, and obviously a deficit to overcome, but they can do it here.
Head coach Welker feels that about 2/3 of the deductions for this team is on the landings of the dismount. It's critical that they stick their dismounts.
Amelie having a huge wobble, really uncharacteristic in this leadoff spot.
And also keep in mind, Kira might be able to hear the crowd gasps typically when someone makes a mistake, and that can be really disorienting when you're in the middle of your routine for both of the athletes going on the apparatus.
Yeah, we saw Ashley Glynn for Utah on bars take that big step on her landing. That was a low score for them there. They answered, but now you have the first gymnast on beam having a wobble, going to put pressure on those last 5. Oklahoma Sooners trying to keep that momentum from beam going. They go to floor, tied for the #1 ranking in the regular season with UCLA on this event. Veteran Audrey Davis here.
Amelie finishing up with no steps on the dismount, but that is really starting them off in a deficit. However, beam is one of their strongest events, so they have the potential to make up the difference with the rest of the 5 athletes.
And on this event right here, Oklahoma, they tell a story and they leave you wanting more. Coach KJ Kindler hopes the judges take into account the precision of their leaps and their jumps. In between each jumps when they're connecting them, their legs are squeezed together even on the floor.
You're going to notice a lot of these Oklahoma athletes are doing twisting, tumbling passes, and it's tough to keep those legs together, but they do a nice job of that.
It's also tough, Sam, to land as clean, I feel like, when you're twisting into the floor. They handle it well, but it's one of those things where if you're a Sooner fan, you kind of hold your breath a little bit once in a while on those landings.
I think the routines are choreographed, so if you notice Audrey Davis, she kicks out of each of her tumbling passes, and that's to sort of try to hide the landing deductions you're talking about, John. Very clever on their part.
The name of the game is minimizing all landing deductions.
Emily Lee for UCLA started with a 9.825. Riley Jenkins now here, a freshman in the 2 spot.
First 10-0 start value in the lineup. Yurchenko 1.5. One step on the vault, but very clean, very controlled. I like how her upper body, that posture was in a vertical position.
I think that Riley might have been on the line. That line, the judges, it's up to their discretion if they want to take a deduction for being a little bit crooked off center.
So McKenna Smith now on beam, 9.6875 for Morgan. They got to drop that one. Hannah Horton on bars for Missouri.
And Hannah Horton can fly on this event. I love how graceful Hannah is. Her toes, her big toes are squeezed together the entire time. That glide of the kip has been a big emphasis this year. And then this dismount, watch the height that she gets. Try too hard to stick that. We may see that today. Oftentimes athletes get a little bit too much in their head, too focused on trying to stick the landing.
McKenna is a 7-time All-American and just a junior, but has been so clutch for Utah throughout this season. She seemed to be unfazed. Nice front aerial, arms continue to move to ensure that she gets that connection.
Head coach Carly Dockendorf for Utah did tell us last week, they said, we have mistakes. We got to be goldfish. We got to forget about it really quickly. They've done that this season. They're going to have to do it right here.
Yeah, and I talked to a lot of the coaches before they started warming up, and the message was we got to fight all the way through, no matter if there's any mistakes or not. And that's what I call a fight through the beam routine, getting Utah back on track.
Danny Sievers over on floor exercise, a 9.8875 for Audrey Davis in the leadoff spot. That is tremendous. Danny Sievers, a Big 12 floor champion.
And a newer rule this year is athletes have to tumble out of 2 different diagonals. So you're going to notice right now Danny's dancing to the other corner, and she's going to tumble right away. She likes to get them out of the way very fast. Danny told me she likes this because she can just relax now and have fun, enjoy the rest of the routine.
A pair of 9.825s for UCLA on vault so far. Brooklyn Moores now. Tremendous floor in the last rotation.
Another 10-0 vault, huge front pike half. That looked almost the exact same as what she did in the semifinals, with that chest a little bit low, didn't quite have the time to open those hips for the landing.
Coaches say that Danny Sievers is the hardest worker on the team. She's the first one on the floor, the last one to leave.
Yeah, head coach KJ Kindler told me she is a huge part of their success, of the things that we don't see on the competition floor. She's really the spirit of the team.
Gonna head back over to beam with Grace McCallum.
Well, Grace told me this year was a completely different experience for her competing in NCAA gymnastics. She said when you come into NCAA as an Olympian, there's a level of expectations associated with it, and she said it really got to me. I was too concerned with the outside noise, but she finally found a way to block all of that out, told me this is the most joyful year she's had back in the sport. Sam, it's something that you've acknowledged coming from the elite world to the NCAA.
Yeah, Taylor, head coach Carly Dockendorf told me that that was one of the highest moments of the year for her, just watching her enjoy and letting go of that expectation to see her perform so well.
And Jocelyn Moore right now on bars. That Tkachev, I could have walked right under it. Well done.
Grace McCallum fell on beam. That is so shocking and really uncharacteristic because she's been having such a solid year. I think they're feeling a little of that pressure on this event.
And that is absolutely going to be devastating for Utah. They're going to have to count Morgan's 9.6875. That is a score you cannot count. You can't count 9.7s at this championship and expect to walk out with the trophy. So Utah is really going to have their back up against the wall here with 3 gymnasts to go. It's 9-9 or bust for the Utahs the rest of this rotation.
Back handspring. You see right from that back handspring, her left arm is just completely off the side of the beam. Didn't have time to adjust quickly in the air.
Now that's just a great shot of how unforgiving that event is. It almost seems unfair. Danny Sievers with a 9.9125. Elle Miller, another star freshman for the Sooners.
This floor routine is breathtaking. Every single movement from her fingertips to her toes on releve is accounted for.
Macy McGowan, left hand of your screen, 3 9.825s in a row for the Bruins.
Looking for a clean and controlled landing on vault. Didn't move that one foot, but still will be a deduction for the step with the right foot.
And Macy McGowan went over the line, so the judges could decide to take a deduction if they wanted to. If you go crooked, that means you didn't do something technically correct.
Oklahoma's head coach told me that she's had this music from Suicide Squad since 2021, and no one has fit the music until Elle got to school. And she said it was her facial expressions that stood out about this music and about Elle, and it just fits her perfectly.
This freshman class at Oklahoma is so special. They have a 97.9% hit rate. Oklahoma's lucky to have them.
Yeah, at one point, almost half of their competing athletes were freshman-filled spots in the lineup, and that is saying something. Not a lot of teams can perform the way they have with that many freshmen competing. Speaking of freshmen, it's a young career for Avery Neff. Her first championship, but she has never been in a spot quite like this. Following the veteran McCallum's 9.2875, another major break for Utah, and it might be over, and it's not even halfway done. Here's Olivia Kelly on bars for Missouri.
Olivia Kelly stretching all the way from her fingertips, all the way to her toes. The best gymnast in the world. Hulda Hansen at the top of the bar.
Avery Neff solid on the series, left-hand side of your screen.
Olivia Kelly tried too hard to stick that landing. There will be a deduction because Olivia Kelly's chest was so low.
This routine is looking really good. She had to make a quick adjustment to fight through that combination, but when I talked to Avery Neff this week, she told me she actually likes pressure. So if anyone's nervous to go after a fall, it's not this athlete right here. She has been such a stud, and this is her first time at an NCAA championships. Very impressive.
Avery Neff scored a 9.925 in the semifinals. I expect this to be a massive score. What's impressive is that Avery does 2 side aerials in one beam routine.
Yeah, Avery Neff, something special for Utah. She will be fun to watch for 3 more years in Salt Lake City. Addison Fada now for Oklahoma, another 9-9. 7 of 9 scores for the Sooners are 9-9 or better.
That leap out of that front double twist for Addison is 1/10 bonus.
Shea Campbell, Yurchenko for one of the best in NCAA. She stuck it in the semifinals. They needed another stick. The senior and 5th year delivers.
Yeah, I talked to her about that vault yesterday, and I said, are you tired of doing that perfect Yurchenko full and not getting a 9.95? And she's like, I don't know what else I can do. I think that vault, when she does it like that, should be a perfect score until someone proves that it's not perfect.
Oklahoma senior Danny Sievers was talking about the freshmen, and she said, man, they are not afraid to compete. They were made for these high-pressure moments, and guys, they are delivering. Very tough to do when they're just a freshman. One of the best Yurchenko folds in NCAA, and it's because she gets a strong block. If you're wondering, what's a block? Just put your hands above your ears and do a shoulder shrug, and then add a ton more momentum. That's how to do a vault like Shea Campbell. Excellent job.
I mean, where's the deduction, though? If you guys can find one, you know, Allie, what do you think?
Shea Campbell has scored a 9.95 7 times in her career. I think she should get that score today. But I think you're right, John. I don't know if they'll give it to her.
So Missouri on bars. No 9.9s for Missouri so far in this competition. You can't win a national title without 9.9s. They are running out of time. They've got to put up some big scores here. Here's Amari Celestine.
Amari taking her time in between each skill. Oftentimes on the podium, on the stage they're competing on, the bars are bouncier. You have to be patient. Excellent.
There you go. Avery Neff had a 9.85, so still not quite cracking that 9.9. Anna Padurario now for Utah in the 5 spot.
Anna has won a silver medal on beam at the 2018 World Championships, and you're going to notice when you watch her the lightness in which she competes. Now let me remind you, they have a fall, and then they also have a pretty low score, the 9.6875. They will absolutely count. So there is a lot of pressure on this routine, but Anna's not going to let you know that she is nervous even a little bit.
Jordan Bowers on floor exercise. Oklahoma's going to actually have to count their first score below a 9.9 so far, but it's a 9.8875 for Audrey Davis. Feda got a 9.85.
Anna on beam right now, going to do a sheep jump, coming up right here. One of the most difficult skills, in my opinion, being done in the entire competition. Your arms have to be perfectly even with each other to stay on the beam.
And it's always the skills that you lose sight of the beam for a little bit and then have to land back on 4 inches.
And Jordan Bowers on floor, that punch front. She has so much height to kick open to anticipate that landing.
I'll tell you what, since that regional final day a couple of weeks ago, there's not been a better gymnast in the country than Jordan Bowers. She has found, as hard as it is to say, another level for her gymnastics.
And John, the power that Jordan had on that double pike, she had to scoop back with her feet. Will be interesting to see if judges will take a 10th off for that landing. But you are right, Jordan's the only gymnast in NCAA history to score a 10 3 times in one meet.
She's had an incredible career and has competed in every single meet during her career. She's never got sick, never got injured. Head coach KJ Kindler said it was a little luck and a lot of hard work.
Shea Campbell got a 9.9 for UCLA on vault. That leaves only Jordan Childs. This is moments ago.
Another 10-0 start value. She's normally so good at getting her chest up on the landing. Slightest hop, which will be a deduction, but it looks so good coming down, great amplitude in the air.
And that's going to be a good vault rotation for UCLA. You know, a 49.2 plus, maybe a 49.3 for them. That's not a bad number here in the postseason.
She tucks her knees a little bit too soon before her hands hit the table, but she gets such a good block, a lot of air time in order to find the landing and have a controlled finish.
Padurario a 9.9, the first 9.9 for Utah on beam. Mara Teeter-Soli on the right hand, Elizabeth Gantner on the left hand of your screen.
And Mara, watch the skill right here. She's going to do a blind full. Watch the hips open, going right into the dismount.
Liz Ganter on the left-hand side of your screen. If you watch semifinals, you might have noticed she wasn't in the lineup then. head coach Carly Dockendorf called her kind of like a pinch hitter because they needed somebody that was going to be unfazed and can put up a strong hit beam routine. So far, this looks pretty good. Interestingly enough, this actually happened last year, and she got thrown in the most nerve-wracking situation and was so calm under pressure. They're hoping that she's able to handle it again. And she does.
And Elizabeth was the only gymnast in the entire competition competing right there, and the arena was so quiet, and as an athlete, you can often hear that.
They needed that one, did Utah. Back over to Oklahoma and floor exercise, Faith Torres.
John, I've been down here by the Oklahoma Corral, and we've covered this team several times this season. I've got to say, this is the loosest I've seen them all season as Faith Torres takes off for her first huge double layout tumbling pass. But this team has been loose, energetic, vocal. They're dancing around. Keep in mind, the season was a bit of a slower build, most consistent, but a little longer to get the big scores going. But they all told me, hey, we are not deterred by anything. They are showing that today.
Yeah, Taylor, she scored 3 perfect 10s on floor, and I found out yesterday that she actually adds choreography in the corner after this upcoming pass if she thinks it could be a 10. They all call it the 10 dance, so we got to look out for it. That's the 10 dance right there. She thinks it's a good one, and it could be another 10 for the Sooners.
Well, Sam, Faith scored a 9.95 at the semifinals and got a 10 at regional finals and SEC championship, so we certainly could see a 10.
I expect that to be one of their highest scores, if not their highest score on floor.
Yeah, no doubt it's going to be a big one. Jordan Bowers, 9.925, guys. I'm going to be honest, they've been fantastic, but I thought Jordan had a 10th deduction on that double pike. Thought that one was a little high, but this, tremendous.
The way that Faith's body is stretched out, I can't stress enough how difficult it is to keep your body in that layout position the whole time. Chest up on the landing right there, control, exactly what the judges want to see.
Jordan Childs finished with a 9.9 for that vault rotation for UCLA. So they had a pair of 9.9s at the end. 9.9 scores on vault. Very, very good. Tough to break that 9.9 barrier. So that was a good rotation for them, despite the fact that they are going to give up some points again to the Oklahoma Sooners here in the second rotation. But the Sooners got to go to vault next.
Yeah, during semifinals, they were down, and Jordan Childs went up to the team and said, guys, we didn't put in all this work not to do what we're capable of doing. I'd imagine that's the message heading into this next event.
Still a long way to go. Utah, a tough beam rotation. Taylor Davis is with head coach Carly Dockendorf.
Thank you, John. Coach, 3 hits after that uncharacteristic fall on beam. What kind of response did you see from the rest of the lineup?
I mean, they just fought till the end. They just stayed focused on their job and didn't let what had happened before, influence their ability to go up and do some great routines.
We're at the halfway point. Your team heads to floor. What do you want to see there?
I just want to see them continue to fight, enjoy this moment out here, and just do what we came here to do.
Thanks for the time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
John.
Thanks, Taylor. Yeah, Utah's got a little bit of a hole to build out of, but they can do it. They are a storied program. 9 NCAA championships, but it's been 30 years since they won their last one. After 2 rotations, the Sooners, they're the rabbit. Everyone else is chasing them right now. They have looked dominant. UCLA only 3/10 behind on the strength of Campbell and Childs' 9.9s. Missouri and Utah, they've got a little bit of work to do. Don't forget about our stream team. How could you forget about them? They are amazing. They're on ESPN+. You can see coverage of all the teams and all the routines. Kennedy Baker, Anastasia Webb will cover Utah and UCLA. They're in the front half of your screen right there. Greg Campbell in the middle, looking great, keeping the crowds away. Bridget Sloan, Trinity Thomas down there on the end. They're covering Oklahoma and Missouri. So guys, Oklahoma has been on fire, but they go to vault. They have a 3/10 advantage on UCLA, but the way vault scores have been, they could erase that here in one rotation as we get ready for Lily Peterson to lead things off.
Oklahoma didn't have any athletes score in the 9-9 range in the semifinals.
This is an athlete that can get the job done. That was almost a stick. I like how she flared out that position at the end. Just had so much momentum, couldn't hang on to the landing, but well executed.
And that Yurchenko 1.5 is difficult because you cannot see the landing. Your feet come down before your eyes have time to look.
So UCLA, they have uneven bars and balance beam left. But this rotation, I feel like, is one where they need to erase that lead from the Sooners. The Sooners finish on bars. They are tremendous there. So UCLA got to make a move here. Shea Campbell, the veteran, leading things off. Missouri, Amy Weir on beam, leading things off there.
And wow, that dismount is one of the most difficult dismounts in the entire competition. Similar to what I was just saying about Lily Peterson on vault, you cannot see the landing before your feet hit. You have to rely on that muscle memory. Excellent body awareness.
Missouri over 8/10 behind the leader. They've been undeniable this season, but they feel like they are running out of time here. Might need some help from those top teams in the form of some mistakes to get back in it. Ashley Glenn in Utah over on the floor exercise. They are just over 5/10 behind the Oklahoma Sooners.
Amy Weir has been doing such a good job in this leadoff position. She made a mistake early, but covered it up, and you wouldn't know unless you studied her routine. That's what makes athletes in the leadoff position so strong, is when they're not phased and they don't overreact to small mistakes.
And when you're nervous, your body tends to feel different. Your palms might be sweatier. You might feel like it's harder to breathe. Your body feels more stiff perhaps. And so to be able to handle the pressure and do your gymnastics the way you do every single day in the gym is so much harder under the bright lights and this amount of pressure.
Great start for Weir. Ashley Glenn, I mentioned over a 5/10 difference between Utah and Oklahoma. A fall is a 5/10 deduction, so that gives you an idea. Not only would it take a fall, it would take counting a fall for Oklahoma rather to theoretically lose that lead. So that gives you an idea of how far behind they are.
And Ashley Glenn, you can see the extension of her knees and her toes. Great start for Utah.
Faith Torres on vault, 9.8625 for Peterson. Matches Campbell's start score on bars for UCLA.
Faith's career high is a 9.975. They needed a stuck landing, and she got the job done.
And Sam, I could tell when Faith was running with her knees up and her chest up that she was in complete control. Watch the elbow position on the table, throws her arms out to the side for that stuck landing, or maybe a half a 10.
It wasn't.
But they'll take it, John. Oklahoma's going to be thrilled with that, as they should be.
Absolutely. Macy McGowan now trying to match Oklahoma's intensity on vault.
Wow, Macy McGowan caught that Tkachev on the high bar. So much amplitude into that shoot over position.
They're hoping that Shea Campbell's stick is contagious. Oh, not quite for Macy McGowan.
Janelle McDonald's airtime is always on point, though.
Well, I asked her where her excitement comes from, and she said that she just loves to see their effort paying off.
And watch, Macy McGowan's arm position goes right to her legs. Almost had that stuck landing.
I was gonna say, watch Janelle McDonald jump when she lands, because I enjoy seeing how high she can get off the floor.
Hey, can we get somebody in the production truck to put a height meter on Janelle McDonald, please? I mean, that is awesome. Ashley Glenn started things off with a 9.875 for Utah. Ella Zerbis finds odd ways to motivate herself before a floor routine. Here she is.
Yeah, this has been one of the most inspirational stories that I've enjoyed learning about throughout the season, is how they're working through her nerves. She had some performance anxiety at the beginning of the season. So guess what, guys? She takes an anatomy test to calm her nerves before she competes.
And Ella Zerbis stuck that pass yesterday, just as she showed that control into that first pass. Utah had the highest score on this event, so this is really an important event for them to make up some tenths here.
I don't know. The anatomy test always made me more nervous, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, today was either a skeleton or a spinal cord, depending on if she wanted a challenge. She was going to go with the spinal cord test. I just love how the coaches have come up with a routine to help her get through that obstacle. And take a look at the anatomy test, see if you can do it from home.
The arm bone's connected to the elbow bone.
That's about all I know, too.
I'll tell you what, the shin bone's connected to the foot bone for Ella Zerbis, and the foot is connected to a stuck landing, because that floor routine, tremendous in the 2 spot for Zerbis, and they need every ounce out of every routine. Again, trying to erase an over half a point lead by the Sooners. Faith Torres making it hard on the field, though, with that 9.9375. Kira Wells, also another tremendous vaulter. Great vaulters top to bottom here for Oklahoma.
Another 1.5. Clean landing, strong posture. That's still going to be a good score.
Caitlin Rosen following the McGowan 9.825. Can't have 9.8s if you're UCLA.
Caitlin Rosen, watch her head position. She's watching the bar the entire time. I just saw her take a deep breath as she jumped to the high bar. Good feeling this is going to be a good dismount. I could tell because she looked so relaxed as she entered that high bar.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I noticed the breath too, Allie, and I think it's interesting that you do have to remind yourself in these key moments to breathe through the pressure. She did a visible job of that.
What's impressive about this routine is her legs did not come apart. We see a little bit right there, but we have a different angle than the judges, so they did not see that. And the judges aren't watching it in slow-mo like we are.
Freshman Avery Neff here in the 3rd spot. Zerbis, a 9.9. Feels like the rest of the way the scores have got to be higher than a 9.9. And if anybody can do that, it's this sensational athlete.
Came in as the #1 recruit in the country, but rolled her ankles early in the season, and it looked pretty bad, but coaches say she was so disciplined with her rehab that she was able to get back. And I asked if she ever had any fear coming back to the event with the injury, and her coaches said, nah, she does not have any fear with anything. That's how strong her mind is.
She competes that way. Head coach Carly Dockendorf said, wasn't sure how she'd be in the gym. Thought she'd be kind of loose, but she said, gym is her place of business. She is there to do work.
And it's tough. She had to adjust all of her tumbling passes.
Left hand of your screen, Amari Celestine, Missouri got some work to do.
Well, John, we actually had pretty lengthy judging conference over here by the beam after Amy Weir's score came in. Amari Celestine was up by the equipment. Head coach Shannon Welker sent her back over to the corral to be with her teammates. She continued going through mental sets. She re-chalked and then headed back to the beam. I mean, Sam, a tough situation even for the most veteran athlete like Amari Celestine.
Yeah, totally, and I saw that score just change, so it looks like they're still fiddling with it. My guess, it was an issue with start value because of her misconnection early on in that routine.
Well, I'll tell you one thing Missouri is not going to do. They are not going to go away. They have been undeniable all season. One of their best, probably the best regular season they've ever had. So they are going to fight to the very end, but they're going to need a little bit of help. Emma Malabuyo on bars for UCLA.
And Missouri was in a similar situation in the regional final. They had to drop that first score, and they came back so well. Emma Malabuyo on bars, she told me they have to stick 2 dismounts. In practice, she told me last week she did 12 in one day. The coaches kept saying, it's enough. And Emma Malabuyo said, nope, I'm gonna keep going until it's perfect. Shows practice paid off.
She is just so technically sound on this event. Pirouettes in that vertical shape, and especially when she can get the landing.
9-9 even for Wells. Addison Theta as we enter the second half of this vault rotation.
Rinse and repeat for Oklahoma. They are just drilling these landings.
And you know what is critical about that is we've seen so many teams, Sam and Allie, take the 2/10 hop or the 2/10 step, and Oklahoma has minimized. They haven't stuck a lot of them, but they've minimized, and that is absolutely huge for them. Jaylene Gilstrap now in the 4th spot. Avery Neff, a 9.9125. They need that. Got to go up from there.
Jaylene Gilstrap got a 9.925 in the semifinals. Scoring was tight, John, as you mentioned. Only about a third of the athletes broke that 9.9 range, so it really says a lot. Sorry, a third of the scores from the semifinals broke that 9.9 range.
Getting that over 180-degree split. This routine is just so beautiful for so many reasons. You just can't help but look away. Sorry, you can't look away because it's so beautiful. So many reasons, but her artistry, I think, is what everybody in gymnastics fans will be missing the most. Just stunning.
Watch the knees position as she punches into the second flip. It's so important to keep your knees so straight in between the two skills. That is why she has so much amplitude, and then steps out of it into a graceful kick, which is beautiful, but also kind of hopefully tricks the judges so that they don't take a landing deduction.
Tremendous floor worker. And you said it, Sam, she will be certainly missed. Frida Esparza now in the 5 spot for UCLA, waiting to break their first 9.9 in this rotation.
Well, head coach Janelle McDonald said that this routine right here was the turning point for them at semifinals. They're wanting a similar outcome.
And Sam, that difficult pack full, there are so few gymnasts, even at the Olympic level, that can do that.
Oh, and that was big.
Man, that is going to be a 10th for the step, and then she went into that squat position, which is an additional deduction.
9.925 for Feda. Look at the 9.9s for Oklahoma in this rotation. Elle Miller, she knows how to stick this.
Yeah, they said she sticks all the time in the gym. Good vault, step forward, but they don't really need it, in my opinion. They just need to put their feet on the ground.
And that's going to be one of those 2/10 variety steps right there. I'll be surprised if she gets much higher than a 9.8. The judges have really hit that type of step pretty hard. But you said it, Sam. They might not need that one. They got Jordan Bowers yet to go. Jaylene Gilstrap a 9.9, so a pair of 9.9 pluses for Utah. McKenna Smith, Grace McCallum yet to go here for Utah.
McKenna Smith is an athlete. This floor routine in particular, I don't think she gets the recognition that she deserves. Watch the height of this punch front. Watch this back layout. Reminds me of the 92 Olympic era for all those longtime gymnastics fans out there. That should be Utah's highest score of the day, if not one of the highest scores of the day.
One more to go for Utah on floor exercise. Our NBA playoff games continue at 6 Eastern. Piston Knicks over on ESPN and here on ABC at 8 Eastern. We have the cap. We cap the night with the Lakers hosting the Timberwolves, my Minnesota Timberwolves, and Anthony Edwards. We'll see what they can do this year. Ellen Miller put up a 9.8125 for that vault. As you see, Jordan Childs anchoring this bar rotation. Problems for the Bruins in that they needed to erase the lead from the Sooners. The problem is the Sooners have extended the lead.
Well, John, lucky for UCLA, Jordan Childs is the bar national champion. And she is superb on this event. The tightness in her handstands. Hoping for a stick here. Has to squeeze every part of her body.
They needed that.
That's why she's an Olympic champion, John. She knows a thing or two about competing under pressure.
They absolutely needed it to give themselves any hope in that last rotation. That should be their first score over a 9-9. Jordan Bowers, her chance to put an exclamation point on a rotation.
Yurchenko 1.5. Big step. That's going to be their lowest score, but I'm going to say it again. They're not totally in the clear, but they have a really solid lead heading into that last event.
And Sam, Oklahoma's the #1 team on bars, so I'm guessing they're feeling pretty confident going into that last event.
They are, but I'll tell you what, Jordan Bowers right there, she is such a competitor. She wanted to finish that one with a stick for sure, and it really would have. It felt like it would have just been that tipping point for Oklahoma. Grace McCallum now on floor exercise. The last floor routine of her gymnastics career.
Out of bounds, 1/10.
Grace has had such a phenomenal career. Just the way that her coaches have spoken about her since being at Utah. She just leads by example. Her best quality is her work ethic, and she lives like an athlete out of the gym as well, which is so inspiring. They can't say enough good things about what she's brought to the Utah program.
Yeah, Carly Dockendorf had told us last year her name never came up for any of the team awards as we look at her opening pass. Again, beautiful. But this year it's like she could have won all of the team awards. This has been her best season of her collegiate career.
And, you know, this is a good problem to have as Grace has so much height and so much power. 1/10 for that, but she should be so proud of herself. That was a great routine.
So the Oklahoma Sooners, a solid vault rotation. Jordan Bowers, a 9.7375. Disappointing finish. Could have maybe added another 10th to that lead, but shockingly, in my opinion, you guys, they beat UCLA's bar score. This was an event it needed to be the other way around. UCLA needed to erase that 3/10 lead.
Yeah, major improvement for Oklahoma on vault. As I mentioned in the semifinals, they didn't even get one score in the 9-9 range. And look at those scores. Now they have 4 scores counting in the 9-9 range. They should feel very proud of that.
Well, OU is going to their best event. UCLA is going to their best event. And I'm curious to see how Utah and Missouri are going to respond on their final event.
One more gymnast to go here in this rotation. Missouri has been over on beam, waiting for Olivia Kelly's score. And while we do, Helen Hu, one of the best stories of this collegiate season.
Yeah, and 4 judges in the semifinal gave her a 10. It is so impressive.
She retired from gymnastics after that 2023 season. You can see some injuries she has dealt with, but she is back after Shannon Welter talked her in to coming back for another season, and man, what a payoff it has been.
Yeah, she traveled around the world, and we had a chance to speak to her about it, and she just said, I just needed to reset and get my body a little bit healthier to be able to compete. And man, I am sure that the entire Missouri program, look at that. And if you look closely, she's smiling when she does that. Incredibly difficult. And the most impressive part is she doesn't even get any extra points for doing that added risk.
It definitely leaves the judges with an overall better impression because they're sitting there watching routine after routine, and to see the originality, the flexibility, the grace of this routine, and this is a big test for her front aerial. Front aerial starts her second one before her head even comes up.
And that's why she won the national beam title a couple of days ago. It was funny, her coach, Shannon Welker, said, I'm really glad we made it to NCAA championships because that was my sales pitch to get her to come back. So I asked her, he didn't tell you you were gonna win a title and qualify to the final, did he? And she said, no, I definitely would have said yes quicker.
Yeah, she's been a joy to watch throughout this collegiate season and enjoying her final moment on the big stage.
Coaches say she has to keep her chest even right here, shoulders even.
I think that routine was better than the semifinals day. Could this be our very first outright perfect 10 of the weekend?
Taking a bow. Helen Hu, what a story. Last year she was climbing mountains and traveling the world, and look at this. Back in the gym, and one of the best to ever set foot on a balance beam. Sam, you won a national title there. You know all about it.
Yeah, it's the best feeling to hit a good routine, and look at the celebration. Victory lap for Helen Hu. Coaches say that this year will change the expectation of our program forever.
Nicely done from Helen Hu. What a story and what an absolute joy. UCLA finished that bar rotation with the Jordan Childs 9.9625. She's got the highest score in 2 events. Taylor Davis is with the head coach, Janelle McDonald.
Thank you, John. And after that big routine from Jordan Childs, she was just over here hyping up her teammates like she always does. How would you assess the first 3 rotations?
You know, I feel like we're doing exactly what we can do. We're going out there, we're being aggressive with our gymnastics. We're really going after landings and details. So I'm really proud of what we're doing. We got one more event. We're ready to attack it, put it all out there, and see where we finish.
You're behind 3/10, but magic has happened for the Bruins on beam in this very setting. What do they have to do there?
They just need to do what they've been doing each and every week, which is go out, nail their routines like they do every day in training, be confident, and enjoy the moment. I know it's a great event for us. I know we're going to finish strong.
Looking forward to seeing it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Go Bruins.
No shortage of personality these guys have, John.
You said it, Taylor. And it looks like it could be a very interesting finish. Helen Hu, 9.9625. They didn't give her the 10. They should have given her the 10. I'm just telling you. Well, if UCLA is going to do it, they are going to have to be clutch. Clutch is the word of the day.
Clutch is like, as a team, what more can we give within ourselves?
I think the word clutch really means that are you able to hit under all of that pressure?
All she's got to do is land on her feet, and UCLA is going to be in.
That's gonna do it.
15 minutes or so. All signs point to Oklahoma. They've got a lead by .3375. That's not insurmountable, Allie, but what does UCLA have to do?
Well, UCLA has to copy and paste their beam rotation from the semifinals. They had the highest score out of any team, and they averaged a 9.91.
Well, if Oklahoma wants to take the title, they just need to do their average, which is still pretty good, but they're the #1 ranked team on that event, and it's their strongest event, so they're wanting to stick those landings and lock in those handstands.
Utah still over half a point behind the leader. They might need some help from Oklahoma. Missouri, they're almost a point back. Doesn't look like the magic is going to continue for the Tigers here, but nonetheless, a top 4 finish for that team. Certainly something significant for that program, best ever in their history.
If you're looking closely, Audrey Davis from Oklahoma was the one hyping that team up on bars. She is so good at getting them going.
Jaylene Gilstrap will start things off for Utah here on vault. They just need to hit some vault, stick some landings, and hope you get an opportunity. Right here, you got to go for broke, right, guys?
You gotta go for the stuck landings. Difficult to do because you don't want to try too hard. They need to let it fall to that position. Clean in the air, but they got to dial in those landings.
Danny Sievers will lead things off here on bars. I'll tell you what you don't want to do if you're UCLA. Count on Audrey Davis and Jordan Bowers to make a mistake on bars. They've never missed a bar routine in their entire collegiate careers.
And Danny Sievers starting off with that first handstand at the top of the bar, held it, took so much wrist strength to be able to do that. Coaches say that for Danny, it's critical that she sticks this dismount to start this team off.
Her teammate Jordan Bowers said that this athlete right here is the momentum starter, and when she hits, it just fires the rest of the lineup up. They're on a roll, and it's only the first athlete.
Watch the knees and toes together the entire time. Head down, watches right in front of her to stick that landing. Coaches on Oklahoma tell their athletes the stick is part of the routine. Don't react and wait for it to happen. Make it happen.
Jaylene Gilstrap on vault, a 9.775. Missouri moves over to their best event, the floor exercise. The national title does not look like a possibility tonight, but that doesn't matter. They are on the last day on their best event. Expect a show here. Here's Raina Light. Emily Lee will be the leadoff gymnast for UCLA. She is a senior veteran in a big spot.
And Emily Lee, I'm glad to see she did that front aerial into the split jump. She struggled with that in the semifinals and did not get a 10-0 start value. So excellent correction for Emily. That's going to be huge for this team.
She had a bit of a wait before this routine.
Quick adjustment with that front foot, not a huge deduction, but again, UCLA needs to be nearly perfect if they want a chance at the title.
Yeah, if you're at home, watch these first athletes for Oklahoma and UCLA as you go through the score tower on the right hand of your screen. Danny Sievers just to put up a 9.875. How does Emily Lee in the first position compare to that score? Remember, they're trying to make up .3375.
Well, I'll tell you what she's got to do. Stick the landing.
And what's extra impressive about that is Emily Lee had to wait. There was a judging conference because of the rotation prior. And when you are nervous and you're up there waiting, it is so hard to not overthink and have doubt creep in. That was huge. You talk about the momentum from Danny Sievers on bars. Well, Emily Lee getting that momentum started for UCLA.
Raina Light finishing up that floor rotation. Grace McCallum, her final collegiate performance. Here she is on vault.
During the semifinals, she stuck it for the very first time. Almost went 2 for 2.
Going for it.
And unfortunately, that step backwards is an additional 1/10 deduction because it's under-rotated.
Lily Peterson, freshman now in the 2 spot for Oklahoma. Their normal on the bar rotation right here is absolutely going to be good enough for another title.
And Lily taking her time in between each skill. So much easier said than done. They know if they hit this bar routine, they could be national champions.
She was one of the 2 9.9+ scores from the semifinals, but that step on the dismount, that's going to be a deduction. So that's going to be the lowest score for OU on bars so far.
Look at that score from Emily Lee. Are you kidding me? In the leadoff spot, a 9.925 advantage in the first athlete, UCLA.
And just to give you an idea, last year when LSU won, Sierra Ballard led with a 9.95. So that's a great sign, very close to that score.
But guys, they're still crawling out of that hole a little bit, so they're not in the clear. It's going to take all of these athletes to put up big numbers if they want to win the title. And this athlete right here, beat jumped into an Anodi, is a new change. Oh, big wobble from Caitlin Rosen.
And I just saw Caitlin take her time in that choreography to take a deep breath, to resettle herself, remember her cues. Coaches tell them, find your arms, find your center, and your finish. Exactly like that.
Keep in mind, UCLA, they count 5 scores. They're not going to want to count this Rosen score, but among those 5 scores, they're trying to make up less than a tenth per counting score. They certainly did that in that first routine. Now they've got 4 routines left to make up for the rest.
They never want to do things the easy way, it seems. So it just puts so much pressure on the rest of the lineup. Big names in that lineup, so they can handle it, but OU is looking strong on bars.
Use those toes to grip that mat for the stuck landing. Way to come back, Caitlin.
She goes for an Nodi, which I think is one of the most difficult skills, and when she stands up, loses her balance. Needed to squeeze her core a little bit tighter.
Avery Neff on vault for Utah comes up next. Grace McCallum, a 9.825. Raina Light on floor exercise from Missouri, 9.7625. They've got some performers coming up in that rotation yet.
Avery Neff is just a natural talent, and coaches say she's as competitive as they come. So I'm expecting a big vault from her right here. Another 1.5 in their lineup. She just drills the landing.
Where do you take off?
I can't wait to see this athlete continue to compete at Utah. She is a phenom.
She is a headliner for sure. Addison Fada follows a 9.8 from Peterson. That 9.8 for Oklahoma, that is a low score, one that they do not typically count.
Addison went big for that pack salto, got a little bit too much air, had some trouble controlling that swing, but covered it up like a pro. Going to do a double layout dismount. Same dismount we saw from Lily Peterson. Just the smallest shuffle of feet.
She's doing a release move, and the judges take a deduction if she catches too close. You see that arm bend. They can take up to 3/10 for being 90-degree bend on that catch.
Okay, so Jordan Childs is up. And guys, this is not over by a long shot. The UCLA Bruins, the rest of the way, they can go 9.95 or better, every athlete. Addison Fada had some deductions on there. Oklahoma is going to count a score in the 9.8s, maybe more than one. This meet is not over.
Just placing that series down, and I think Jordan Childs, obviously we know she can put up big scores, but I think her biggest asset in this moment is the fact that she doesn't take gymnastics too seriously. And in these critical, high-pressure situations, that attitude permeates through the rest of the team.
And competing at 2 Olympic Games has given her immense amount of experience to be able to handle pressure situations like this.
A few more skills. Strong side aerial. Now coming up, she changed this dismount, so it's new. Finally decided on a round off double full. It is critical that she sticks the landing. She didn't stick the landing in the touch, but guess what? She did it when it counted.
What stands out to me for Jordan Childs on this event is her knees are just so extended the entire time. Watch her knees right here, and boom, sticks the landing.
And you know what I noticed is that she was so crooked on the round off, and like a cat just places it on the mat and doesn't move those feet.
So if you're keeping track, yes, Caitlin Rosen has a 9.725. Forget about that score, because they've got 3 athletes. They have got to hit the last 3 athletes. That child score is going to be a 9.9 plus, maybe a 9.95. Addison Fada, a 9.8375. They've got 3 scores in the 9.8s, does Oklahoma. This is interesting. Ashley Glenn here on vault for Utah.
Short on the landing, under-rotated squat. They're going for those sticks, and I can't blame them. If I'm in Utah shoes, I am going for those stuck landings no matter what.
Sam, the irony though is when you forget to do the round off back handspring onto the table, technically correct, it makes you often land short.
Yeah, there's a lot of nerves here, Allie. You're looking at these athletes, they're managing nerves, the crowd, the pressure. We have to remember that these athletes have been training this whole season for this one moment right here.
Faith Torres coming off the best season of her collegiate career. What a big moment right now. Gotta go 9-9 if you're Oklahoma.
And pay attention to the height right here.
Shea Campbell over on balance beam. Jordan Childs a 9.9375.
What is impressive about Faith is she is not holding back. She is going big for everything.
But the slide on the landing.
These next 3 athletes for UCLA on beam right now had the top 10 highest scores for the semifinals. Just could be about 0.3 of a point for that.
Hiked her hips on that series and threw her off a little bit.
And that series is so difficult because you have to keep that layout position.
Another wobble from Shea Campbell, and she was actually one of the athletes that started that 9-9+ run for UCLA in the semifinals you were talking about, Allie.
Oftentimes when you're nervous, gymnasts tend to rush on the beam. I'm noticing Shea is taking her time. Seems she's going slower right now, trying to gain her rhythm.
Good finish for Shea Campbell.
Shea Campbell finishing her collegiate career right there. Said she came back for this 5th season to rebuild the legacy of UCLA. And I'll tell you what, whether or not they win the title today, UCLA looks like they are certainly back. Amari Celestine on floor exercise, finishing her career. What a fun one it's been.
She brings so much energy and aggressiveness. Her brother Arteon has collaborated with her to choreograph her routines since she's been little. So this is special for so many reasons.
McKenna Smith follows Ashley Glynn's 9.7. The dream has slipped away for Utah, unfortunately.
Good finish for McKenna with that vault. Opens her hips nicely, and I like seeing those unique vaults from Utah. What a celebration of an amazing routine, an amazing career. She has so many family members here to celebrate her. She told me yesterday that she had a surprise coming, and it was her brother Arteon right there, who has been so integral to her gymnastics career in that floor routine.
Gonna miss her gymnastics, but guys, I think what the gymnastics world is gonna miss most is her personality. It's just so much fun. Never a bad interview with Amari Celestine. So UCLA now down to their last 2 athletes. Sienna Alipio, the 5th gymnast to go. You can see that lightly shaded score from Shea Campbell, 9.6875. That's the one they're currently dropping, but they're gonna have to count that 9.725. Here's Audrey Davis. She can clinch this championship with a 9-9 or better. Has only scored below a 9-9 3 times all season.
And John, she has gotten a 9.975 16 times in her career. If you ask me, this athlete is so deserving of a 10.
Audrey is just money on this event. If you want any 2 athletes to anchor this championship, it's Audrey Davis and Jordan Bowers.
Audrey Davis, exceptional bar routine, exceptional gymnast.
Is it gonna be enough? She had a little hitch on that landing. We've seen the judges take a half attempt on her with a perfect landing. She did not get the 9-9 in the semis. It's gonna be real close as Alipio finishes beam.
Man, step on the dismount from UCLA. I think that means OU is gonna get the title.
Watch the flexibility required in the height that pulled in a bit, as Sam was mentioning a couple of moments ago. Elbows were bent as she caught the bar. Judges want to see completely straight. Then watch the landing. just hesitated a little bit. Judges could take a half a tenth for the shuffle and then another half a tenth or tenth for the gaining her balance.
The arm circle is also a deduction. So it's really, and we talk about a subjective sport, up to the judges on how much they want to take for those little mistakes we see.
Finishing the competition today for Utah, Zoe Johnson.
Oh man, she has been nailing those balls. They look so good and just completely missed her hands. It seems like she's okay though, very safe landing in comparison to what we could have seen.
Thankfully, Zoe is okay. Looked like her hand slipped on the ball.
Well, unfortunately, that finish for Utah, not indicative though of the season that they have had. I think a lot of people really thought this was going to be their year, that they get back to the top. What happened here, guys?
Watch her hand right here. Just didn't get enough height on the table to have enough time to plant her arms, and so glad to see that Zoe was able to get up right away. That's really scary in the moment when you honestly sometimes don't have any idea where you are.
Wow, that was scary. Waiting for that Audrey Davis score. Jordan Bowers up next, finishing her collegiate career.
Whew, guys, I'm nervous. I can't imagine what Jordan Bowers is feeling.
9.925 for Audrey Davis. You know what that means. It means the Sooners are back on the top of the mountain. Wow.
Emma Malabuyo obviously having no idea that this is going on. So she's feeling a lot of pressure because she knows going into this routine how close it is between these two teams.
And Jordan Bowers, I don't know if she knows either. You can see the look on her face. That look is lion mode. She is in the hunt. This is what she is built for.
And Jordan Bowers, watch the extension all the way from her shoulders to her toes. Held that handstand for a second, like she's up against the wall. Her form is exquisite on this event. Jordan has gotten a 10 on this event so many times, and by the way she's doing this routine, we may see one tonight.
Emma finishing the best that she possibly could. That was rock star status beam routine.
Emma Malabuyo, left hand of your screen for her. It started at age 3 with backflips on her parents' bed. They went through an Olympic Games, and it led to that routine right there to finish what was an incredible gymnastics career. Congratulations to her. Right hand of your screen, Jordan Bowers takes her bow as well, but for her and the Sooners, it'll be a national championship.
Watch the handstand right on top of the bar. Textbook. Every coach dreams of their athlete doing a handstand like that. And the knees and toes pointed throughout the entire time. Just that slight step on the landing. What a phenomenal career Jordan Bowers has had.
But they put in the work on vault. They put in the work on the other events to earn the right on bars, to not have to stick all of those pressure-filled dismounts.
So over on floor exercise to finish up here, a little subplot, obviously the number one spot, the focus of this competition, but Missouri has battled along, and you know what? A 9.9375 will move Missouri into the 3rd spot ahead of Utah.
Well, regardless of how Missouri finishes, Missouri Gymnastics has the highest finish of any women's sports at Missouri. So they're really making history in a lot of ways this weekend. For Jocelyn Moore in her incredible career. Dancing right out of it. Her swagger, her attitude, the confidence is what coaches say has elevated this program. Her and Amari Celestine have done an incredible job.
Congratulations to Shannon Welker and what he's done at Missouri. Tremendous. But right now, the moment belongs to Oklahoma. Last year, they had the greatest regular season in the history of women's gymnastics. But 366 days ago today, they had what I called a cataclysmic meltdown. And they have had to live with it every day as they made the journey to this moment. KJ Kindler knew they were going to have to bear that burden. And right now, the road to redemption for the Sooners is complete. They are the champions.
It wasn't a perfect season for Oklahoma, and I actually think that became a strength of theirs in the postseason. They knew how to adjust when it wasn't perfect. And look at them now. They fought to the end. They stuck vaults when no one else could. And now they're holding the trophy.
And I tell you what, you guys, they said they had to look at it every Friday night. They had to hear it. They had to hear us talk about it. But because of all of that, this moment is sweeter than maybe any of the other ones they have ever won. Obviously some tears from the UCLA Bruins, but you guys, come on, this Bruin team, they had a special season.
Well, last year they didn't even make it to the regional final, and here they are in second place. That is an incredible improvement year to year, and of course you're looking at Emma Malabuyo and Emily Lee seniors who've just had an incredible career.
What a championship it turned out to be. Sooners, they're back on top. We'll wrap things up when we come back.